In this passage, we are going to be talking about the Massacre of the Fabii, written by Livy. Leading up to this, Rome has been battling the city of Veii, who was close to Rome. The family of the Fabii fought for Rome as a small army who did not require funding by Rome. At this time, they are battling the Veii, one of the strongest Etruscan cities, and the Fabii are winning. The amount of victories that the Fabii have had increased their confidence as the Veii decided to set up an ambush against the Fabii clan. Now let's dive into the Latin text. Passage: the Fabii are wandering the countryside, plundering different areas, looking for resources such as food and other objects. So in the Latin text we have, therefore the herds of cattle were driven out into the open for plundering. And what is understood here is that the Fabii are the ones plundering, even though it's not mentioned in the actual text. Et agrista fuga vesti relicti agree, which means the fields left empty by a flight of farmers, so they're scared of the Fabii coming in and plundering their fields. But this is not actually true. So, and the garrisons of armed men, they fled more out of pretend than actual fear. So this is all part of the trick of the Veii, trying to make them believe that it's a safe place to plunder. On in the passage, the Fabii at this point are really puffed up and really arrogant about themselves. And so as we continue the passage with Iamque Fabii adeo contemperesit hostem ut sua ignacta armo neque loco neque tempora udo crederet sustere possi. And so basically now the Fabii look down on their enemy that either time and place any of their invincible arms be resisted. Next part, we have something called a result clause. So ut ad contempta procil is the result clause. And so basically the Fabii, the sight of distant cows carried hope here. On the other side of a wide field, and campi instead of meaning camp means field in this case. And they ran to secure the cows. And to get these cows, the Fabii are still really puffed up and they don't really take notice of what's around them. So in the next sentence, they have, although a few armed enemies were visible, they just don't recognize that is a trap for them. And Livy really shows this in his next sentence with et cum. And with thoughtlessness, they traversed past the place of the ambush on the road, on either sides of the road, trying to catch the cattle here. And the next, we have a ut clause, which happens to be another result clause. And this time it's meaning which in the fear we're running. So the cattle are running here. And as we move down to the next section, we talk more about what the Veii are doing in this situation. And so the enemy here suddenly popped up from their hiding and attacked on all sides. So they surrounded the Fabii as they were trying to collect the cattle. Now the next part is where we get into the battle of this. Understood here is that in the beginning, the Fabii are the people. So at first struck with terror from the shouts. So the shouts of the Veii are scaring them. Then, as javelins fell on them from every direction, so the Veii are attacking from every side, as Veii and Etruscus here are used interchangeably. So the Etruscus surrounded them and now secured into a group by armed men. So they were put into this orbum, a circle, secured into a circle or a ring by the Veii. And you really get to see the size difference between the Fabii and how small the little Fabii family clan is. And so in the next part, we have Quae res et pactum aurum insignum multitudinem Etruscorum. So it means which caused the scanty numbers. So numbers, and this is implying the Fabii here, and the great number of Etruscans. And as the Etruscans start to surround them and encircle them, multiplicatus in orto ordinis facebat. So the ranks multiplied as they got closer. So the ranks of Etruscans multiplied as they got closer. So the number of people. Etruscans now just surrounding them on all sides, giving them the Fabii no chance of getting out. And as we move on, tum omissa pugna quam in omes partes param intenderat. So basically, after a while, the Fabii, which is implied, disregarded the fight, which equally had stretched in all directions. So the Fabii were just being pulled in all directions, trying to stay alive. So they try to form into one place, head into one spot. And ao here meaning at this point. So at this point, only by their bodies and arms did they punch a path with a wedge. So the Fabii are trying to get out of this circle of Etruscans and just push through by brute force instead of trying to win a battle that will not be successful. From reading, the Fabii are successful in their efforts to get out of the circle, and so they're trying to get out, trying to find a place. And so once they punch through the road, so the road leading to a moderately rising mound, as this high place, they paused and rested here, and recovering their spirits from such a great panic. So they were just so distraught and unsure of what was going on. And so they needed to get out and find a place to rest. And as they were there, they repelled those who tried to attack through this position the little rank was conquering. So the Fabii of 306 people are just battling the Fabii, and since they have this higher position, they're able to just hold them at bay. And as we continue, the Fabii are just too clever for this and find some way to get to them. So when a team of Fabii, having been sent around, summited the hill, and thus the enemy with a superior position. Continue reading. All the Fabii have no hope left. The Fabii have got a better position, and they're just battling now to survive. But as we continue, so we have ita superioris hostis factus. So the enemy, being superior, turned them. And we have a very interesting thing here where Livy cut out what would be understood. So Fabii causi sunt. There would be a sunt here. And the Fabii all cut down to one man. And then we move on to Livy describing how tragic this was, how much of a massacre. So 306 men perished, only leaving one immature youth left as the seed of Rome, the future of the Fabii household, the greatest helper both at home and in the field. So that just truly tells you how much the Fabii did for Rome. They were out on campaigns and politicians, and that this loss of all 306 Fabii, which just destroyed Rome's perseverance. But the Fabii were believed to be lucky after only leaving one left. And we also have this interesting case here of bellique, which is the locative, which is just very abnormal. And that concludes our translation of Livy, and hope you enjoyed.